you guys. I am in Mr. Archer's nursery and we are going to attempt to put him to sleep. He's been a little fussy today, and also this is kind of like his wake window time between like 6 and 9. But I would like for him to go to bed a little bit earlier tonight, so we're gonna attempt to put him to sleep. But anyways, I grabbed a caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino, no whip on the bottom, extra crunchy pieces because the crunchy pieces are the best part. So I'm gonna sip away at that as we chat. It's the best one. Oh, this is from Starbucks, by the way, if you didn't know. If you weren't sure where I got it from. Okay, he seems like he's dozing a little bit, but we may have a little bit of fuss during this video, but that's okay. For those of you who don't know me, or have never seen my face before, my name is Sydney. My name is Sydney. I am a perinatal athletic therapist, postnatal fitness specialist, and now a first-time mom. I am exactly 3 weeks today postpartum with, this is Archie, Archibald for short, whatever you want to refer to him as. I took you guys along with me through preconception, pregnancy, and now into postpartum. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about my breastfeeding journey and kind of the things that I have found to be the biggest struggle. Now, Archie is only 3 weeks, so we're still getting to know each other quite a bit, but we have really gotten to know each other quite a bit already at this point, and breastfeeding is pretty established. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my breastfeeding journey kind of from the beginning and how things went, all that kind of stuff, and then some of the things that I currently struggle with, that I was struggling with, all of those kinds of things. So there'll be a little bit of both of those topics kind of mixed in with each other. I honestly struggled a little bit as to whether or not I was actually going to share about my breastfeeding journey and some of the things that I've struggled with, because I didn't really know how, and if I'm being honest, it has been a pretty, I don't want to say easy process. It hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been super hard. A lot of things kind of naturally fell into place, and I feel kind of awkward sharing about my struggles when there are so many people that are struggling so much more than I am when it comes to breastfeeding. And some of my thoughts surrounding breastfeeding and my personal breastfeeding journey, I feel bad sharing them because I know there's a lot of people who just wish that they could breastfeed. I have some friends who tried so hard and it just didn't work out for them. But like everything else on this page, on my Instagram page, all of that kind of stuff, I share for you guys to be able to either relate to, find encouragement from, find some good information from. And upon talking to a couple of you through my DMs, I came to realize that there's a lot of you that can probably relate to the things that I feel and the things that I've experienced. That is, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do today. And I know that's a really long intro, but I want you guys to know that I am not by any means saying that the experience I have had has been awful or horrible or so much worse than anyone else's or anything like that. This is just the things that I've experienced. And again, I hope that some of you can relate to some of the things that I'm saying, because it's sometimes awkward to share our hardships if they are pretty mild in comparison to other people. If that all makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, okay. I would like to say the number one thing that I will recommend to any person who's having a baby, whether you plan to breastfeed, whether you plan to formula feed, whether you plan to combo nurse and pump or combo breast milk formula, whatever it is, get yourself a lactation consultant. They will help you with your latch, they will help you with bottles, they will help you with the color your baby's poop should be, how many dirty diapers they have, like all of those things. They will help you with so many things. My lactation consultant is literally my saving grace when it came to everything I experienced postpartum. She kept me from sending myself into an oversupply. She helped me with so many things. And she was also the person that I could quickly send a message to and be like, hey, is this normal? There's something happening that I don't know what it is. Because remember, this was my first baby. And so I just there were so many things I just wasn't sure about. And I could send her a quick message and she'd be like, yep, nope, that's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. So my top recommendation, it is a bit of an investment, but you will not be disappointed with the information and everything that you get from that. Excuse me, you are supposed to be sleeping. So right off the hop, right after Archie was born, we did skin to skin, and then after my stitches were done was when I latched him, and he latched right away. Now, being a first-time mom, I'm trying to remember if his latch was initially really uncomfortable. I remember it being the weirdest sensation, and I remember looking at my doula and my husband and being like, what is happening? It was honestly the weirdest sensation. But he did latch fairly easily and fairly quickly. Now, throughout the next couple of days while I was feeding him, specifically on my left side, his latch was very uncomfortable. It was very pinchy. Yeah. Speaking of breastfeeding, I think we're gonna feed him a little bit just to get him to chill out. Can I have my hair, please? I don't want you to take that. Okay, so over the next couple of days after Archer was born, I noticed his latch was very uncomfortable. It was really pinchy. It hurt a lot, especially on the left side, on the side that he's on right now. I talked to my lactation consultant, I talked to my midwives, and they helped me find some positions that were a little bit more comfortable. So I will say, I have very, very large breasts. We started at an E, a 36E, 2 sizes larger during pregnancy, and then another probably 2 sizes postpartum. So I haven't measured myself, but we're up there. They helped me to find some positions that were a little bit more comfortable to feed him, where he could get a little bit of a better latch. My midwife checked his latch and she said she thought it looked pretty good, but it might have just been a little bit more shallow. So over the first couple of weeks, it was super, super hard. It is super, super hard to find comfortable positions that I can breastfeed him in. Because I have such massive breasts, I often have to use 2 hands, one for his head and one for my boob, to be able to actually put it in his mouth properly, which is very frustrating because I can't just comfortably breastfeed anywhere. Breastfeeding on any chair or anything like that is so hard because there's just so much tissue that needs to be moved. And he will partially suffocate himself up against my boob because there's just so much tissue there. And sometimes if you have really large breasts, your nipple can be pushed inwards, and then there's a lot of tissue, and it is so frustrating to find good positions that are comfortable to be able to feed him in. And I know that is something that so many people struggle with. I don't have a problem breastfeeding in public. I don't have a problem with anyone else breastfeeding in public. For me personally, trying to breastfeed him in public, I have to have my literal entire boob out, which is the size of a small melon. And so, okay, we're back up here now. Okay. It can be really, really frustrating to just feed him really quick when we're in public because there isn't comfortable places to do that where I have support of armrests or something like that. When I'm at home, I typically feed him in a football sort of position. So his head is here and his body goes back down here. And I like pile pillows up to do that. And I can't do that obviously like on a park bench or on a lawn chair or something like that. So it's very frustrating to try to feed him anywhere. I also collected colostrum before he was born, so for a couple weeks beforehand. So I think we had about 20 syringes. And because his latch on the left side wasn't great, there was a lot of like sucking sounds and stuff like that. It wasn't like a nice, quiet nurse like it was on the other side. So we weren't 100% sure how much milk he was getting from my left side. So what we did every time after he nursed on my left side is we gave him a syringe, which is 1 milliliter of colostrum. And he responded super well to that. He gained past his birth weight super quick. Now I don't know if that was because we were giving them the colostrum or whatever the case is, because colostrum has a lot of calories in it. So we did that for the first probably about week, and he was back to his birth weight. He was slightly above his birth weight by 5 days. So he did gain back very quickly. So after my milk came in, I got pretty engorged. And when I tell you the pain that you experience with engorgement is very similar to that breast tissue discomfort kind of in your armpits before your period, if you've ever experienced that. It's like that, but it's the entire boob. Everything. The whole thing hurts so bad. And a lot of people will pump to relieve that pressure. Now, when you pump to relieve that pressure, it tells your body that you actually want more milk, so your body will produce more milk. So a lot of people actually end up sending themselves into an oversupply by doing that, because they're trying to get rid of the pressure and the discomfort, but then the body thinks that it needs to produce more. So essentially what I did when I started to feel some of that discomfort is I messaged my lactation consultant, and she said, don't pump unless you're gonna pump for like 5 minutes with a manual pump just to relieve a little bit of pressure. Otherwise, don't do anything else. That will go away over a couple days. And it did. It went away after a few days. It did not feel like it was going to. I honestly was like, this is going to be here forever. This is the worst breastfeeding experience ever. It does go away, I promise. So after that engorgement was gone, after a couple of days, things started to feel a lot better. I would say pretty much since the beginning, even now, my left side, when he latches on my left side, it's still a little bit uncomfortable, but it honestly depends on the position that I'm in. And again, that depends where I am, how comfortable I am. Am I in my home so I can set up a perfect spot? Am I out somewhere else? Like, it very much depends on where I am. Where I am will depend on how it feels. We had our first appointment with Archer's pediatric chiropractor last week, and she said she did think that he has a small lip tie, which could be something that is relating to the reason why he has a bit more of a shallow latch on that side. But either way, we are working with positioning. We are doing our best to make sure that he is in a good position when we are feeding, so that I don't experience as much discomfort. So that's kind of how my breastfeeding journey has gone. It's been pretty smooth sailing. There's been like some discomforts, a couple things that have been frustrating. I have started pumping just a little bit. I'm using the Medela manual pump. Anytime he only nurses on one side, let's say he nurses for however long on the left or on the right side, and my left side is feeling a little bit full, I will pump for like 5 to 10 minutes on that side. Other than that, I am not currently pumping. We have a good established breastfeeding situation. I don't want to ruin that at this moment, but I am planning to pump in the future so that I am not the only one that can feed this child. I knew before Archer was born that I would really struggle with being the absolute only person that can feed him, and that is one of my main struggles right now. I have a really, really hard time knowing that no matter what, I'm the only person that can feed him at this moment in time unless we decide to do formula. And I am really looking forward to the day when that is not the case anymore. I am slowly building up a little bit of a freezer stash, and we are waiting until he's about a month old to introduce a bottle for him because we wanted to make sure that breastfeeding was established. I don't mind, for the most part, nursing him all the time, but there are some times when let's say he's cluster feeding, let's say it's been a long day, he's really fussy, it's the middle of the night, whatever the case is, I really struggle with being the only person that can feed him at that time. And my husband really struggles with not being able to help me. And so both of us are looking forward to being able to feed him bottles because I think that will make my relationship with Archer and my relationship with my husband better. And it will make my husband's relationship with Archer better because he can feed him then. I've heard a lot of different people talk about breastfeeding in the sense of it is something that connects them to their child. It makes them feel very connected. It's a bonding moment and all that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I've never felt that way. I've never nursed him and felt like, oh my gosh, this is the most wonderful bonding experience. This is the most wonderful bonding experience to me, is these kinds of moments. I have never felt that way about breastfeeding. And I feel bad even saying that because like I said, I know there's some people that just long for that so badly, but I've never felt that. And there's a big part of me that is honestly like, I'd be okay throwing in the towel at any time and being like, okay, let's just switch to formula. The reason that we don't is because it's expensive. It's just not my thing. And it's something that I knew. I've known that for a long time. And there's a reason that we invested in the pumps that we did. And I can honestly see myself transitioning to an exclusive pump feeding routine because I just don't love nursing. It's just not my thing. I know there are some of you that can relate to the way that I feel when it comes to breastfeeding. So at this point, Archer he's gaining weight well. My breasts themselves no longer feel uncomfortable unless I'm super, super full. So for example, the other night he went like 6.5 hours without waking up. And then he only fed on one side. And so my other side was just so full. So then I pumped that side with the manual pump. Otherwise, everything is feeling good and they have decreased in size since being engorged. So I think I'm back. I'm a little bigger than I was during pregnancy, but definitely not like I was when I was engorged. Like if I could only, I wish I would have taken progress photos of that, but that was throughout that first week postpartum when everything hurt, everything was uncomfortable. And I wish that I would have taken some progress photos because they were huge. Like I can't even explain to you how massive they were. I would love to know if any of you can relate to any of the things that I was talking about in this video, especially when it comes to breastfeeding with larger breasts. People who have smaller breasts just really don't understand how different it is and how much of a struggle it can be. And I would also love to know who can relate to just not feeling connected through breastfeeding. Like I heard other people talk about it for so long and I was like kind of waiting for that experience to happen for me and it just didn't. And I'm curious who else has had that sort of an experience. And I hope I didn't miss anything. I was a little distracted feeding him and trying to keep him from fussing too much. So I hope I didn't miss anything. I asked on Instagram if anyone had any questions of anything that they wanted me to address during this video. Someone asked about latching and how did it go for you right after birth. That did already address that. My lactation consultant walked me through that before I gave birth, so I kind of knew how to encourage him to latch postpartum, right after he was born. Otherwise I wouldn't have really known, and it would have just kind of been like, let's see if we can get him to latch. My midwives would have been pretty good with that as well. It happened pretty quickly. Someone asked, how do you decide when to full latch and when to move to pumping? I will start pumping probably at about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Like I said, we really wanted to establish breastfeeding first, and I will start supplementing at least 1 pump a day, or sorry, at least 1 feed a day to a pump instead of a nurse. And so he will get a bottle at that feed and I will pump instead. And so we will start that way and kind of see how things go, and we might start doing that with more feeds. We'll see how that all kind of pans out. And then there was a question that is, how do you know the right size for the bottle nipples? I think this very much is an individual thing based off of your baby and what your baby needs or likes. There are certain bottles and certain nipples that are more recommended by lactation consultants just based off of the way that they're shaped. So it gives the baby a little bit of a more natural latch. But I think that's very much an individual thing. We currently have the Dr. Brown's. They were bottles that were lent to us by some friends. So we're gonna try those first. If those don't work, we're gonna try something else. And we'll just kind of see what works well for him and what is a good pace for him as well, because each nipple has a different pace that the milk comes out of it, if that makes sense. All right, so that is everything for this video. If you guys have any questions, any comments, anything you would like to chat about, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I will get back to you. If you'd like to follow me a little bit more on the personal side when it comes to postpartum and all the things I'm experiencing, head over to Instagram and follow me there. I post in my stories constantly. We talk about all kinds of different things in regards to postpartum and all the things that I'm experiencing, and I talked a lot about pregnancy stuff, so there's still lots of pregnancy stuff on my page. And as I go through postpartum, as I get back to exercise and all that kind of stuff, I will be sharing everything there. So please feel free to go and join me on Instagram. But anyways, thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a lovely day. I'll talk to you guys soon.